2020 has been quite the year. It will surely go down in the history books, but scarcely thought of is the significance of the numeral 2020. It in fact refers to 2020 years AD, or Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. So it's been 2020 years since the year of our Lord, referring to the man Jesus Christ. My name is Jacob Nelson, and today I'll be talking to you about the historicity of the man Jesus Christ. Over 7 billion people on the planet Earth, nearly 1/3 of which identifying as Christians. Alarming, however, is the fact that in a recent survey in 2015 by the Church of England, 40% of people surveyed did not believe that Jesus Christ was a real person at all, but rather a mythical figure. So, today, being a former doubter of the existence of Christ myself, and furthermore a former practitioner and teacher of Eastern religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, I have allowed this piece of information that was unknown to me to drastically change my paradigm of life. So, furthermore, historically, historicity is easily understood when you consult credited historians, historical texts, and archaeological affirmations. Therefore, to begin, let us look at non-biased scholars, consult the New Testament, and corroborate that information with archaeology. Consulting the unprejudiced authorities will be first. And there's as Bart Ehrman, a secular agnostic, wrote in his work Forged, writing in the name of God, he certainly, referring to Jesus Christ, existed. As every competent scholar of antiquity, Christian or non-Christian, agrees. In Josephus, his book, The Antiquity of the Jews, 18 and 20, circa 93-94 AD, Josephus twice refers to the biblical Jesus. Most notable passage in the Testimonium Flavonium writes, the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, whose name was James, referring to a martyrdom of the time. Tacitus, this other historian here, of Rome, and in a completely independent culture, he describes the scapegoating or singling out of Christians following the fire of Rome by Emperor Nero. He refers to the founder of the scapegoated sect called Christus, who was executed under Pontius Pilate, which beautifully matches up with the New Testament account of the life of Christ. So, having visited these non-biased accounts, let us move on to religious texts. The New Testament, as well as the Pauline epistles, are early documents, and they tell of the life of Christ and his personhood. The synoptic gospels here have 4 authors, and they all account of a Jewish man who's Aramaic, traveled, teaching, preaching, and was crucified. And we have all this information through manuscripts, same as Josephus and Tacitus, through pieces of paper that were written on and recovered, that multiple copies that have the same information, identical information. So this is how information was passed along for many, many years. In addition, the Pauline epistles include the thoughts of the author, who clearly believed that Jesus was a man. He even claims to have met with his brother James. So that's interesting, and they're the earliest surviving Christian texts. As historian Michael Grant puts it, he simply states in his 1977 book titled Jesus, A Historian's Review of the Gospels, if conventional standards of historical criticism are applied to the New Testament, we can no more reject Jesus' existence than we can reject the existence of a mass of pagan personages whose reality as historical figures is never questioned. Archaeologists, in addition to that, have been able to corroborate elements of these stories. And one other interesting fact is, if you look here, these are the copies of transcripts. We have only 30 or so of Tacitus, 50 or so of Mr. Josephus, while we have thousands and thousands of identical manuscripts of the New Testament. So that is some pretty compelling evidence right there. In addition, archaeologists have been able to corroborate pieces of the story. In 2018, a house was uncovered in the ancient Nazareth, which is said to be the childhood home of Christ. So this is very well where Jesus lived as a childhood home. And then in addition, we have the tomb right here in Jerusalem where people commonly pilgrimage to every year. It matches the biblical account of and location of where his resting place was said to be. And according to a 2018 article on History.com, author Sarah Pruitt tells of physical evidence of Roman-style crucifixions, such as the one described in the New Testament, include lesions and unhealed fractures on the heel bones of the individual crucified. So this was a practice common there, and archaeology supports that. So that's great. In conclusion, I will state that Jesus Christ, the man, is potentially the most influential figure in history. He has been tirelessly studied and examined by believers and unbelievers alike. And I'll leave you with this thought. It's a name heard around the world, uttered by so many lips, your own, I'm sure, included, and he is in no way denied by a rational mind. Thank you for your time today.